So today I want to talk about areas of your finances that you are forgetting about. I think that we can get so caught up in budgeting, side hustling, saving money, that actually we ignore some really important areas of our finances. So I was thinking about what these might be, and I think there are areas of my finances that I've been forgetting about too. And I used this last week to have a little reflect on whether these things are right and whether there's anything that I need to do. So it seemed only right that I would come and share these with you so that you can do some work in these areas too. So hello, I'm Charlotte Jessup and this is the Looking After Your Pennies YouTube channel. Here I talk about financial education. I want you to feel empowered to make strong choices around your personal finances and to know the right questions to ask from the people that are supporting you. I talk about everything from budgeting, making money, saving money, investing, and today I'm going to cover some of the extras that always get neglected. So let's do a little bit of a disclaimer. This is financial education. This is not financial advice. The things that you will hear in this video are just meant as little reminders or things to think about. If you want somebody to give you some proper advice on this, then seek out an FCA regulated financial advisor. I'm also going to talk about investing, so please make sure that you remember when investing that your money can go down as well as up, and any money that you put in is at risk. So let's jump in and look at some of these things that I think that you might have forgotten about when thinking about your money. So number one is life insurance. So this is a product that you can buy that will pay out in event of your death and sometimes in the event of a terminal illness, and could provide you with a lump sum of cash to support your family in the event of your passing. Now, why do you need to think about this? If you have a house, for example, your mortgage provider might have insisted that you have life insurance. And this will be to pay off your mortgage in the event of your death. So it means that your partner or whoever you bought that house with isn't left with the burden of paying off the mortgage in your absence. But there are other reasons that you might want life insurance too. And it could be for things such as making sure that your kids are looked after. So if your finances weren't coming into the household anymore, would your kids still be able to continue having the same life? Or would it put increasing pressure onto your partner? Would they be forced to increase their hours? So life insurance can therefore mean that your partner isn't left trying to fund the same lifestyle that you've had. It can also pay for things like your kids to go to university, or deposits on their first house, or their first cars, the sorts of things that you might be thinking about doing as a parent, but if you're not there, you wouldn't be able to provide for. It doesn't always have to be quite so serious. You might want to just leave your family some money to pay for a holiday. So, they might be grieving because, we've left them. And you might just think it might be a nice thing if they could have a lovely family holiday where they can bond and reflect on you in a positive way. Now, the thing about life insurance is that it can cover pretty much anything that you want and up to any sort of amount. So there are lots of different things you need to think about. You don't want to over-insure yourself. So, maybe if you're bringing in £20,000 a year, you don't need to insure yourself for millions and millions, okay? You need to think carefully about what you need and what you want to cover if you're not around. It's also a great thing to think about when you're young. It's actually cheaper to get life insurance in your 20s and 30s than it is in your 40s, 50s and 60s. So if you're a young person that's watching this, then it might be a good time to think about it. Like I say, look around, do your own research, see if this is a product that is right for you. But I think it's definitely one area of our finances that we regularly neglect. So number two is a will, okay? Now again, it's kind of a morbid topic, but it's definitely something that we should be thinking about. There are lots of rules around wills and you need to get it right. A lot of people also think that having a will is just about managing your assets, the money that you have. And you might be watching thinking, well, I haven't got any money, so what's the point? And I understand that, but it's so much more than that as well. It could mean that your photos, your family photos, go back into the family rather than to a partner. It could mean that your kids end up staying with an important family member or close friends if you are to pass and they need looking after. It also could be something fun as well. You might have like a toy that you had as a kid that you want to leave to your sister because it will give her a nice memory. Let's say you divorced or you've separated from a partner, your money, you don't want that to go to your ex. You want that to stay in your family or go to your friends or your sister or your mum. If, however, you didn't have a will set up, it would, if you're still married and in some other circumstances as well, it could end up in the hands of your ex. So you need to put these things in place to make sure that the money goes where you want it to go. Otherwise, people can contest this and it could end up going all sorts of places that you didn't want it to go. So it's a way of protecting your financial assets, it's a way of protecting your personal belongings, and it's a way of making sure that important things to you, your family and friends stay in the right hands. There are places online that allow you to do a free and legally binding will, so have a look around for these. There are also paid alternatives to this that give you a slightly extra level of service. You can also get options that allow it to be checked over by a solicitor and will give you some more support about the sort of things that you can write and the wording. So number 3 is pensions. Now I talk about pensions a lot on my videos, so if you haven't watched some of my others, now might be the chance to go back and look at those videos about pensions. If you're a regular watcher or engager with my content, then you probably hear me talking about pensions all the time. And I hope that means that this is not an area of your finances that you have forgotten about. But let's just give it some thought. What sort of things do you need to think about when you look into your pension? So the first thing that you can do is actually find out about your pension and also find out about your old pension too. You need to find out things like where your pension is kept, who that provider is, what amount you have in there at the moment, what are the fees. So find out as many details as you can. You need to check the amounts. Are they growing as you want them to grow? Or are they being corroded away by fees? Is the amount that you have in there going to support the sort of retirement that you want in the future? Also check where they're invested. You might have some strong morals and ethics around what sort of places you want your money invested in. So for example, you might not want your money going to tobacco companies, or you might want it not go into firearms. And your pension could be invested and therefore supporting these things. So it's worth having a little deep dive into where your pension is and make sure that it's doing the right things for you personally. Another thing to think about is how much you are paying in. Is that going to be the right amount for you both right now and in the future to have the sort of lifestyle that you want? You might also be able to access, if you have a workplace pension, increased employer contributions. So if you up your contributions, it could be that your employer pays in more too, therefore increasing the overall amount that you have in your pot. You need to think carefully about the projections, about what they're expecting you to have when you hit retirement. And you need to think about when that retirement date might be. Have a little play around with the figures. What would happen if you added a little bit more? What about if you paid in a little bit less? Play around with this. A lot of companies will have like interactive tools that can help you with this. If not, there are probably some tools online that can help you. And finally, think about fees. Is the pension that you've got right now, or even your old pensions, and probably more particularly your old pensions, what are the fees like on these? It could be that you're paying high amounts of fees to have that pension, and that might not be right for you now. So have a look at what your options are about maybe transferring your pension somewhere else. You need to be careful when you're doing this as well. You might need to speak to a financial advisor, and there might also be some other fees involved in this. So you'll need to weigh up whether this is worth it for your particular situation. So pensions are a big one. They're often neglected because we think about them being for old people, but actually we can have the biggest impact on our pensions when we are young. So it's definitely worth thinking about fairly regularly. It doesn't have to be all the time, but every few months or so, and just making sure that they're ticking over nicely, working as you want them to, and they're not being eaten up by fees. So number 4 then is passive income. So I kind of hummed and hawed about whether I should actually include this one, but actually I think it's a vitally important part of finances. We so often focus on the money that we can make from earned income, and we've been conditioned this way, so it's only reasonable that we are thinking like this. However, it is really useful to start thinking in terms of passive income. A great way for beginners to start generating passive income is with investing. So when you invest money, that money hopefully grows over time, or will produce you some dividends, which is a payment from the company as a way of distributing their profits. So you can generate an income there. Obviously, you need to invest some of your earned money into these investments before you can start generating this passive income. There are other forms of passive income though. So these can be things like rental properties. It could be maybe you written a book or a song and you make money from that. There are like so many creative ways that you can make passive income and build the amount of money that you make, while you're sleeping, so that it can eventually, or hopefully one day, offset some of the money that you need to make towards your earned income. So you might find that you get to a point where the money that you make from your passive income allows you to drop down a day of work. And this will give you some more freedom back in your life. So we focus a lot on things like side hustling, which is just more work. We focus a lot on saving money. We focus a lot on budgeting. But actually we should really be looking at ways that we can generate more income into our lives by working less. So it's definitely an area of your finances that I urge you to reflect upon. What things do you have available to you, or what things can you create that will generate an income stream going forwards? It also just allows you to have a little bit more financial security. If you lose your job, you will still be generating income somewhere that can hopefully cover some of those bills. So there we have it, 4 things that I think you might be forgetting about when you think about your finances. It's not all about meal planning and, savings trackers and debt. There are other things that we need to think about as well. And I hope this has given you something to reflect on and think about today. Maybe next time you pick up your budget, you can maybe have a little look around for some life insurance. Maybe you can start a conversation with a partner about putting together a will. Maybe you can speak to your employer about your pension, or maybe you can start a project that builds passive income. Thanks for watching today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll have another video out within a couple of days and you are not going to want to miss it. A big thanks for watching. Hit the like, comment with any other things that you think that I should be thinking about my finances. I would love to hear from you, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.